Hello everyone. Welcome back to Simply Jira. This is Vijaya. I have 6+ years of experience working with Jira. I'm here to share what I know about Jira to those who haven't heard of it yet. I'm open for any suggestions that could help me improve throughout this journey. In our last few videos, we have seen some basic concepts of Jira. Today I will share an overview of automation for Jira. Let's get started. Hope you are able to see my screen. We can navigate to the automation section by clicking on the three dots beside the project for which we would like to do the automation. The automations have different scopes. They can be global, multiple projects, or a single project. Project admins can create automation for their own projects, whereas for multiple projects or global projects, we may need the help of Jira admins to help creating them. In order to create this automation, you need to be a project admin. Maybe nowadays we call it as a space admin. So we need to be admin of the project. There are readily available templates which we can use based on the apps integrated or based on the use cases. We have several templates already available for us to reuse, or we can also create it from scratch. There are certain execution limits based on the plan we have for Jira and the licenses we have. For now, let's create a rule from scratch. Let's say whenever a ticket gets created, I would like to add an auto comment. In an ideal scenario, only when we work on service requests or requests from users, we may need to add the SLA and how much time we will be taking to respond to them or completing the request. I'm just doing it as a sample here. So let's have it for task issue type. As you can see here, automation rule consists of 4 different components: a trigger, condition, for each adding branch or an action. A trigger is something what makes the automation rule to start, to trigger. It can be an issue event, it can be manual trigger, or it can be a scheduled event as well. Condition, in the case whenever we would like to have this automation rule applicable only under certain conditions, we can have this component added. Let's say if the trigger is on an issue, but we would like to perform the action on a different set of issues which are related to the trigger issue, then we would go for the for each or add a branch component. And at last we have this action component, which is the ultimate task we would like to automate using this automation rule. So the first component is adding a trigger. This cannot be skipped. This is a mandatory one. We can choose the required trigger from the available ones, but this is a mandatory one. These are the available triggers. We can see some of the default triggers based on work item and based on whatever integrations we have in our instance. Let's say we would like to treat the field value changes of an issue as a trigger and would like to run an automation rule. In that case, we will be using this field value change trigger. Sorry, I just clicked the other one. So an example could be when we have a parent issue and there are subtasks to it. If you would like to carry forward a value of a certain field from parent to the subtask, then we can make use of this rule. So whenever the field value changes for the parent, that needs to be copied over to the subtask so that it remain consistent. For now, let's use the work item created trigger. And we don't want this to be applicable for all the work types. We want this to be restricted only for the task work type. So let's add a condition here. So condition and for each, these two are optional as you can see here. Only the trigger and the action part is required for any automation rule. Without that, we won't be able to start the automation and there is nothing to be executed as part of the automation. So let's add a condition. Here you can see the available built-in conditions. Smart values are nothing but like how we have JQL syntax. Same way for automation rules, there are ways to fetch values from issues or users from field values. So these are called smart values. Those can be used inside the automations. There is a syntax and format of how we can use these smart values. These are very helpful, but we may need some more exposure to automation rules to start using this. Maybe in our upcoming session, we can look at what are smart values and how we can make use of them inside automation rules. For now, let's create a simple automation rule to add an auto comment after every task creation. So let's add, work item fields condition. Here we can select issue type because we are going to base this condition on the issue type value task. So this automation rule will be executing only when this condition evaluates to true. Let's say a story work item gets created. Then this condition will be evaluating to false and the execution will stop. This will not be taken into account for the usage limit. Only the successful executions are taken into account. Here again, we are not going to go for each branch. This is something where we would like to branch the execution to multiple related issues or multiple things. So right now we'll go for a simple example where we are just going to add an action of auto commenting on an issue. So there are several built-in actions here which we may need to explore to understand each of these. Some are pretty straightforward. Some we may need to try creating rules based on that to understand how it works. Yeah, let's go for the auto comment on work item. In an ideal case, only when we are working on service request or direct user request, we will be having this scenario. But right now, as a sample, I'm just using it for task issue type. Yeah, in this case, there won't be any duplication because we are having this triggered only during the work item creation. So whether checking this or unchecking this doesn't matter here. We can have it checked. And if you would like to have the comment to be visible for any user who has browse access permission for the project, or would you like to restrict it for certain rules or groups, that can be done. I'll leave it as public comment. Here you can mention who all can edit this automation rule. Just like how we have shared filters with others and mentioned who can edit the filters, right? Same way, here we can mention which specific admins can edit this rule. Let's leave it as all admins. Yeah, here you can see the rule details. Right now, as I am creating from inside a project, the scope of this automation rule is automatically taken as the single project. In case if we would like to change it to multiple projects or a global rule, then we may need to go to global administration to change this. Right now, I am the owner, and in Cloud Jira, we have a default account with which all these automation rules are being run. So that is automation for Jira. There is no need for any service account to be specifically created for this. Yeah, here we can select whether we would like to be notified in case if there is any error. In case if you would like to have this automation rule to be run by action done by other rules. Let's say if we have an automation rule to auto create tasks. In that case, if you would like this to be run, then we may need to check this. Otherwise, the automation rule will not be executing whenever another automation rule is trying to create a task. Instead, only when it is created manually, this rule will be triggered. Let's leave it unchecked. Because before checking this, we may need to consider if we have any loop scenarios. Because we may have multiple automations, we need to check for any dependencies that could cause loop. Let's create a task and test this execution. Yeah, now we can see this command has already been auto-populated. In case when we need something dynamically to be populated here, that's when we use the smart values. Smart values can be the values which can be fetched from the issue fields or like from any other content inside Jira, which is related to this issue. Let's look at the audit log. So here we could see that it has been executed. When we expand, we can see the issue key for which it got executed and what was the evaluation. Like we had a condition, right? So what was the result of the evaluation? We can see that as well, whether it has passed or failed. In case if we are creating a story now, the evaluation would fail and the execution would stop there. Yeah, so you can see the status here as no action performed. If we expand and check for the condition, we could see the work item did not match the condition. Here in this case, it has passed and the comment has been successfully added. Hope you got a basic understanding of automation for Jira. Let's dive into this deeper in our upcoming sessions. Thank you everyone for watching.